Horns up, good morning, and fuck. The Indian Metal Podcast is dead. Hey guys, so yes, it is true, the Indian Metal Podcast has come to an end. I thought I would make this video and talk a little bit about why I am doing this, why I have decided to end the podcast. It was many months ago that Riju Das Gupta suggested that the scene needs a podcast like what Pratika Prabhune had started doing. In fact, if you click here, you can watch her podcast. And she did one episode and sort of left it off, and Riju suggested this, and I said, why not? I was anyway looking at developing this YouTube channel, to start some kind of monetization for the music I make, and it seemed like a good idea at the time. So I gave myself 6 months and I did the podcast pretty diligently for 6 months. And to be really honest, the way it turned out after 6 months did not really encourage or motivate me at all, because like I mentioned in the last one, I do the podcast more as something to build the YouTube channel perhaps, or to make money actually through monetization of some sort. I don't do it for passion, because that's what I make music for, even though there's no money in the music I make, or not enough money in the music I make. I'm motivated to write because I am a creative person. I consider myself an artist, I'm an artist. So anyway, so that motivates me to write music. But with something like this, honestly, and I'm being really fucking honest, I'm 33 years old. I don't have time to dick around and do shit for fun or whatever, So something like this that takes my time and takes a lot of effort, I would do only if there's some potential for it to benefit me either monetarily or in some other way. So if you look at the views of the podcast, what it boiled down to is that the Indian metal scene probably delivers about 1,000 views per episode. And here's my problem with this. The potential does not exist. Beyond this podcast, there is no potential, because I've obviously, the Indian metal tag is a USB as well as a hindrance, because the podcast is unique because it focuses on Indian metal, but it is also hindered because it is limited to Indian metal. And of course there were people who suggested, why don't you talk about international bands, etc, etc. But the idea is that there are other websites, other people who are dedicated full time to that job and who do it much better than me. So why would I do it? So doing anything apart from Indian metal with this podcast just doesn't make sense. So I guess that is the reason this may not be able to grow beyond this 1,000 people viewership, and I'm really grateful for the people who religiously tuned in every Monday morning and looked forward to the podcast, So like I said, the monetary motivation for this, I could push that angle and I could do something like a crowdfunding of sorts, but honestly I don't want to push that burden, no pun intended, onto the fans again, because I've already done crowdfunding with Headbanger's Kitchen. I've already done it with my solo album, and even if I don't crowdfund, there is constantly new music or merchandise from one of my projects that I would rather have my fans spend their money on, because that is what I want to actually do at the end of the day. So I'd rather today that those 500 people who are watching this podcast go out there and buy a Demonstealer t-shirt or buy a Demonstealer album, rather than give even 100 rupees per head to this podcast. Though if you look at it, 500 people giving even say 40 rupees or 50 rupees a month is probably enough money to keep this podcast running. But I don't see people doing that, and I don't want to put that burden, no pun intended, again on the people who are watching this. So there's a lot of things I've thought about, even the whole idea of monetizing on YouTube, like it's a great thought, but even guys like AIB who are getting 1 million views of video are not making the bread and butter from the YouTube money, because India has the worst payout rate, and basically this is the curse and the boon. India, a lot of kids don't even bother watching the podcast online. They will straight go to a download link and download the podcast. So I don't know if YouTube counts that as a view even. a lot of them will not even watch it because it's like, "Arey, I'm on a data pack and I don't have data. I want to save data for something else." So they probably just share it on Facebook, but they're not actually even watching it. And then of course, there is the fact that 1,000 views just doesn't get you any money, and with the lowest ad payout rate in the world. Yes, because in America you can make up to $15 per 1,000 impressions, whereas in India it's like $3 or something. And with ad block turned on and stuff, it's just one negative fucking dead end. Like, they always give you hope, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Unfortunately, the way I have been seeing it in the last 6 months, there is no light at the end of the Indian metal tunnel. Unfortunately, it's fucked. I'm gonna be very honest and say it. It's fucked. And this is something that Nolan mentioned in the Cryptos interview that I did on Headbangers Kitchen, and I uploaded it yesterday. Is that we don't follow the lifestyle. We say metal, but you're out going for some party somewhere, some fancy dinner somewhere. People are not living the metal life here. They're not committed to the music, and which is why it's always been a phase for most people. And that's about it, man. That's really what it boils down to, is till we embrace this. And like I said, it's all kids who are listening to metal, and every 3 years, once the kid passes out from TYBCom or whatever the fuck they're studying, there's a new generation of kids that come in. And I have seen these generations. I've seen at least 6 generations of metalheads come and go from the scene. So I don't know, man. I'm completely, I don't fucking have any hope for the scene anymore. Like, I fought with Nolan for years saying, "No man, the Indian metal scene has got some potential." And he said, "No, fuck it, there's nothing here." And more I find myself agreeing with him. It's unfortunate. I don't like that I have to agree with him, And of course, there are always a set of hardcore fans who are keeping the scene alive. Don't get me wrong. Not everyone out there is, floopy or whatever, flimsy with their metal passion. There are guys who very dedicatedly support the scene, support their favorite bands. So you guys are the lifeline, and that is the truth of the matter, And of course, there are more and more people sticking to metal, hanging around in the scene, but unfortunately, that crowd is not enough for the number of bands that are, there right now. So anyway, I don't know, I'm just rambling on right now, but basically for me, the podcast is over. I will still keep doing the band building videos because that is something I actually enjoy making, and I feel that has more potential, because you don't necessarily have to be connected to the Indian metal scene to get something from those videos. So those videos I'll keep doing. Of course, my musical collaborations, music videos, and everything to do with the Demonstealer project will be on this channel. So that's pretty much my thoughts on the matter. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, leave them out below. I'll keep making those Q&A videos and more band building videos. Until the next video, cheers and keep listening to Indian metal.